Hi, everybody. It's Georgia Rose. Good evening. I'm sorry that I'm running a little bit late today. It actually was because I had computer problems and I couldn't seem to get on the computer tonight. I don't know why. It's not Mercury retrograde anymore. I guess we're hanging into the shadow end of it. Hi, Marianne. How are you tonight? Hi, John. As I said, I apologize for coming on late. I was having some problems getting online tonight, which is very unusual. But tonight we're going to talk about Jupiter in Capricorn, and I am Georgia Rose from Zencuda. Had a really exciting day today. I actually was on a radio show on govsradio.com, and they were introducing me to the station because I'm going to be doing my own broadcast on Thursday evenings at 6:30. I'll be doing these Tuesday Night Lives on Facebook for a couple more weeks, and then everything is going to switch over to Thursday evenings. So I hope you will all look me up this Thursday evening at 6:30. That's Gov's Comedy Club on Facebook. And if you want to watch it live on the internet, it's govsradio.com. And you can log on there and you can find the show. It'll have a number to call in if you'd like to call in. And this Thursday, the 5th, we're going to be doing the astrology of December. So you can call in with questions. And the following Thursday on the 12th, we're going to be doing live tarot readings in honor of the new moon. So it's going to be really, really cool. And yes, you found me, Laura. I was late coming on today. I was telling the audience I was having some computer problems. So let's get started since we're running a little bit late. So tonight I want to talk about a major transit that we've had astrologically. As you all know, I'm not just an astrologer. I am also a psychic medium. I read the energy of the universe psychically as well as astrologically. And I do healing work as well. Hi, Regina. Hi, Julie. So we'll get started. And if you have questions, just weigh in. I'll keep checking the board. Hey, Kathy. Hi, Joanne. This is a lot of energy coming in. And Jupiter in Capricorn really changes the game for us. Jupiter is coming out of Sagittarius. And in Sagittarius, Jupiter was at home. It felt expansive. It liked being in Sagittarius. And it was very lucky and fun-loving and good to us, mostly. And Jupiter is a very benevolent planet. It likes to expand things. So in Sagittarius, it was having a good time. It was like a balloon being blown up, and there was no limitation to it. It just kept getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And we were able to really expand certain things in our life. And wherever that fell in our chart, it really expanded those areas. Now, of course, Jupiter will also expand things that we haven't done or taken care of. If it needs a push from us, Jupiter will definitely expand things that aren't so great sometimes, but hopefully you all had a great transit with it in Sagittarius. So now it goes into Capricorn, and that is a really different feeling. It's a really different sign. I don't know if any of you felt that today, but it's going to stay there for 12 months, and it's definitely a different energy. Jupiter in Capricorn. Capricorn is an earth sign. It's a heavier energy. For those of you who are Capricorns or no Capricorns, Capricorn is the symbol of the goat climbing. You're going to hear a lot about Capricorn energy in the next few months because we have major things going on in that sign. So for any of you out there who are a Capricorn moon, Capricorn sun, birth sign or rising, you're probably going to undergo a lot of changes in the next year to come. We'll be talking about those all the way through, and we have this beautiful soul support community to help us with that if you are Capricorn. But those changes, although they may be extreme at times in the next year, they're also for the best. They're also going to be things that are transforming in your life, and when you come through them, you're going to be so grateful. So just make sure you understand that, because what the planet Jupiter really wants to do is expand our life for the good. Jupiter is a characterization or an archetype that wants to really have us believe in a benevolent universe. It wants us to trust the universe. Jupiter wants a well-oiled, well-ordered machine to be the cosmos and where we live. So if we have anything that's out of sync or anything that's not a well-oiled machine, Jupiter can sometimes expand that as well. But it does it, and it brings in the negative in order for us to make a change. So it's really, pushing us to go further in our life to live our best potential, right? So in Capricorn, we have an energy where Capricorns are very steadfast. They're very loyal. That goat that wants to climb the mountain. But Capricorns are also very limited in their thinking at times. You know, the goat wants to climb the mountain just to get to the top of the mountain, but he doesn't go any further than that. That's really his fixation. And Jupiter is limitless. Jupiter wants to go expand beyond the top of the mountain. So Jupiter in Capricorn has limitations. It can only expand so far before it's caught and it's held. It doesn't like that. So what does that mean in our day-to-day life? It means that we're going to be optimistic, and we're going to want to be optimistic, and we're going to want to grow and reach our full potential. But there's going to come a point in the next 12 months where we just feel like we've reached the limit. We're limited. And the reason for that is because things have to change. So let me explain it this way. If you think about government structure or banking, it can work and it can be great, and it'll keep doing its traditional thing and doing its traditional thing and growing and growing and growing until something changes that limits it. And the reason that happens is so that we go back to the drawing board and have to invent something new that'll work even better. It's the same way in our lives. Jupiter in Capricorn comes in to expand something, to make us believe in the benevolence and the abundance of a really great universe, a beautiful cosmos. But it does that by taking something away. Because when we find ourselves a little bit hungry or a little bit thirsty or a little bit deprived, isn't that when we're really more grateful for the things that we have than ever before? And that's the lesson of Jupiter in Capricorn. It's going to teach us by maybe taking a little something away, limiting us a little bit so that we become more grateful for the things that we do have. We become more grateful for the things that are really valuable to us. So it's going to be a little bit of a rocky feeling, Jupiter in Capricorn, more so than Jupiter in Sagittarius, certainly. In Sagittarius, Jupiter was unbounded. It just kept growing and expanding everything in our life. And that's why 2019 for many of us was a year of great expansion. It's not that we're not going to have expansion in 2020. It's just going to be a little bit different. It's going to be more of a teaching kind of expansion. Things will be happening so that we become more grateful for our reality. I took some notes, so if I look down, just bear with me, because I really wanted to give you guys the best I could about this beautiful energy. And when I go into a meditation, or I do research, or I go into my own astrological teacher, as I like to write things down. So Capricorn is winter. You know, we have the winter solstice coming up in December, obviously, and it's the first day of winter is the 21st of December. So traditionally, Capricorn is winter. It's barren. It's also known as the place of death in some circles, where the soul goes to return to God. So Capricorn is that sign of the zodiac that things go to transform, right? Death is transition. So that's the very heavy part of Capricorn. But at the same time, Capricorn is that goat on the mountain. It's the ambition. It's the driving force. It's the climb. So you take those two energies and put them together, and that's a lot of transformation. That's deep transformation. It's transformation in many parts of our lives, depending on where Capricorn falls in your chart. As I said, Jupiter is the planet that wants to give us the message of that well-oiled machine, that the cosmos are working, and sometimes we even see these things being orchestrated, and sometimes we know things are behind the scenes being orchestrated, but we have to believe and trust that the universe is orchestrating things on our behalf. And so the message of Jupiter is that even that well-oiled machine that is the cosmos one day dies, because Capricorn is death. So what does that really mean in our day-to-day life? It means that no matter how joyful and abundant something is, it's impermanent, and we should not be attached to it. We should enjoy it in the moment and love it for what it is and be grateful to have it, but not base our soul on its existence, because everything is impermanent. And so Jupiter in Capricorn is going to bring us back to that energy. And the beautiful thing about that energy is that we understand eternity when we think of things that are impermanent. We have to see the impermanence of something to feel the eternity of other things. It's just like we have to feel the deprivation to be grateful for what we have. So you see the duality there in these energies is actually very beautiful if you think about it. And many times when we lose something or something is taken away from us, in the end, it becomes a beautiful experience of growth and learning. And I think that's going to be really what we're going to feel. But Jupiter is still a benevolent energy. It's still a lucky energy. It wants to teach us not in a harsh way. It wants to teach us gently. Hi, Kathy, Kim, Chris, Annette, Ann, Gina. Second time today, right, Gina? And RJ, we have quite a crowd on tonight. That's great. So the other thing that Jupiter in Capricorn wants to teach us is about time. Saturn rules the sign of Capricorn, and Saturn is the timekeeper. It is time. And just like I was just talking a few minutes ago about impermanence, things that are impermanent, everything is really impermanent, right? Even when we die, we're transitioning to another form, whether we come back in another lifetime or ascend to something different. It's a transformation. Energy never dies and it never stays still. Things die, our perception of things die, our experience with them dies, but it actually transforms. That moment may be gone in that perception of reality. You know, a flower basically dies, but does it? The seeds can be composted to form another flower. So in that transition, we find the impermanence of life. And that's the lesson of time, according to Saturn. That time is eternal. That time is the movement of eternity. It is the juxtaposition of everything happening at the same time. And so when we have Saturn, the idea of impermanence becomes our reality of eternity, because nothing is forever, right? Everything just keeps changing. Energy keeps shifting. Energy never dies. You can't kill energy. You can only transform it. And that's really the root of Jupiter in Capricorn, is tremendous transformation. The universe is going to show us exactly how things change and transform. And we're going to see it in some really interesting ways. I would not be surprised if this is the decade where a lot of history gets made, to do with a new world order, to do with the restructuring of societal reforms, political things. Typically, when you have a Jupiter Saturn, which is going to happen conjunction in January and continue for several months, and the last time Jupiter was in Capricorn was 2008. So think back to what was going on in your life in 2008. How did it affect you? It'll probably be a similar theme. But typically in history, anytime Jupiter comes in contact with Saturn, which it's going to do this next year coming up, it's a complete evolution of society in some way. And that's been historically as far back as we can remember, and I could go through different times, but it just, trust me, historically, it is a very evolutionary thing will happen to society. Jupiter and Saturn also is integrity. Capricorns are high integrity. They are a Capricorn energy usually are people who have a very high standard of honesty, integrity, and ambition, and they hold people to their standards. They can be very rigid with that and very detached if someone is not of their standard. So that energy is going to play out in the world stage. It's going to play out in places where anything is not of the highest integrity, where we don't have transparency. Jupiter is going to expand things so that they have to come out, so that they will be transparent and of higher integrity. Otherwise, they will be fall away and be disintegrated in the next decade. And so that's true of our own lives. Whatever we have not taken responsibility for, the relationship we stay in that we know we shouldn't be in, the job we go to every day even though we know we're better than that, the area of our life where we don't have the integrity to be truthful about our own authenticity is really going to get tested. So wherever that is for you, I think in our heart of hearts we all know, and that's probably what's going to get tested. But know that test can be very gentle if you do what the universe is wanting us to do, which is be authentic and transparent and of a high integrity. So there's still time to definitely use this transit to our highest being. The other thing I wanted to say is that Jupiter has very grand ideas about creation and order, and it does this, like I said before, by showing limitation. So you want to really be present in the next 12 months to use this energy to its advantage, and really be present where the universe is showing you things. For instance, if you overspend at the holidays, maybe it's in your second house, which is the house of money and valuables, and you're doing these behaviors because the universe wants to amplify them. The universe wants to bring them to your attention so you can make a correction. So sometimes Jupiter can act very grand in the way that it shows us where we need to take responsibility in our life. And Capricorn can be austere. So when you have those two energies together, it's a lot of limitations. It's a lot of frustration. They don't really like being together. Jupiter does not like being in Capricorn. So in our lives, we're going to see some of that play out. So I said before about how I felt about the New World Order coming in. And I do feel that this 2020 is a decade that sparks a lot of changes. You're not going to see the change yet, but this is going to go back in history as the root of the change. Something happens that ignites the change. And I think that these changes are going to happen in the banking system tremendously, with the economy. I think that we're going to see different forms of money come in, whether that's electronic. When Jupiter is finished in Capricorn, it goes to Aquarius, which is computers and futuristic energy. So whatever gets put into play in 2020 will culminate probably in 2021. So just be aware of that when you start making plans in your own life. But New Order comes from the darkness. So in other words, because we're in the Capricorn energy, and this is also going to be transiting Pluto and Saturn, it's an area of great transformation, but it's going to be transformation by bringing things darkness. And what I mean by that is things have to fall. Things have to have a breakdown in order for the light to come in them. So just know that and be prepared for that. If we stay in high integrity and transparency, we probably won't be very affected by it. So definitely stay in that light. So now I wanted to go in through the signs tonight for how Jupiter is going to affect you as it transits Capricorn. And what you want to do is, if you want to know how this affects your chart, you can always call me for a reading, and we'll do that privately. But if you go on cafeastrology.com or astro.com, you can actually get a free chart if you know your birth date, time, place, and date. And you can look and see where Capricorn is in your chart, and there'll be numbers on the circle. I don't have a chart pulled right now, but there'll be numbers on the circle, and those numbers mean your houses. And each house represents a different area of your life. So I'm going to go through, if you're by sun sign, what area, what house Capricorn is transiting for you. So you don't have to do that. But if you want to learn more, that's really the way to do it. Hi, Angela, Michelle, Walter, Monica, Denise. How are you? Lisa, how are you doing? Lisa does great meditations. Amy, thank you all for tuning in. And again, I'm just going to make a shameless post and announcement that on Thursday evening, I start my radio show on govsradio.com. That's at 6:30 every Thursday evening. And you can also watch us live on Facebook. I will post it on the Zencuda site at that time. So if you want to tune into Zencuda at 6:30, you'll see govsradio.com in the post. So let's go through the signs. And you can comment and ask me any questions you want about how it may be affecting you if you tell me what sign you are. So Aries, this actually comes into your 10th house, which is your house of career and work. And so this is actually where hard work pays off for you. Jupiter is going to want to expand the things that you've taken care of and you've worked really hard for. Now, if you've been a slacker, that's going to come home to roost. But I think most of us are pretty hardworking out there. So you want to really concentrate on work this next 12 months. And if there's any ambition or anything that you really wanted to do to gain a position of authority or to raise up in your company or start a business of your own, it's a good year to plan that and do that work. You may not see the culmination of it until the end of the year or 2021, but you will be rewarded in this energy for hard work that you do. So do the extra thing, go the extra mile. Also, your reputation grows in this energy. So this is definitely a year where you're building up towards your professional reputation. So choose your projects carefully because you will be judged a little bit. It's an energy of that. So you want to choose your projects carefully so that you really get recognition for the right things. Don't take on too much. That's the danger in this energy for Aries, is that sometimes you take on too much and you start to become overwhelmed. And in that energy, Aries, sometimes is not very good at controlling their temper. So you may be misunderstood. So make sure that you pace yourself. Take pride in your work. Advancement is coming, definitely being rewarded. Be direct, have integrity, honesty, and be more willing to step forward and take responsibility where you need to. But stay out of the gossip, because there will be a lot of gossip and possible misunderstandings surrounding this area of your life. So you really want to stay in the integrity as much as possible. Taurus. Taurus, this is happening in your ninth house, and that is travel. So if you're thinking about traveling or planning a vacation or a cruise or anything like that, it's a good time to do it. Jupiter will be shining on you. And I see some people are asking, I'm an Aquarius, I'm going to get to you. Libra, I will get to also. And Joanne, this one's for you, Taurus. Chris, don't be nervous as a Libra. I'll talk about it in a few minutes. So getting back to Taurus, this is happening in your ninth house. This is travel. Great year to take that dream vacation you've always wanted to do. And you may have some experiences when you do travel. For instance, you may come home and think, wow, I really want to live in that place. Or you may come home and be grateful for what you have. Could work either way. But I feel like travel is very good for you in this energy. This energy for you is going to be very adventurous. So definitely do the travel thing. But it also has to do with higher learning, especially on a spiritual plane. If there's anything, Taurus, that you were thinking of changing up or studying, it could be anything from, astrology to the occult or taking Reiki certification, or it could even be just a cooking class. But it's a great year for you to go into some kind of study, because that'll really be looked upon great for you. You'll probably come out of it with a broader perspective. You may come out of anything that you decide to train in or teach, be taught, with a different perspective than what you start out in. It's going to be very philosophical for you. And I feel like that with your travels too, you'll really gain a different perspective on life and how things work and what you value. It's definitely a year where you're going to broaden your learning and you're broaden your philosophical understanding of how life works. And you may even learn a new language. The ninth house is foreign languages. That could even be a spiritual language of some kind, or interpreting something that you didn't understand before. So Taurus, this is actually a very good transit for you. Gemini, this is in your eighth house. And the eighth house we always call in astrology the house of sex, death, and taxes. How do you like that, right? But it's usually your partner or spouse's money. So if you're in a business partnership or a romantic partnership, usually when something transits your eighth house, it's your partner's finances in some way. This is definitely a year where you don't want to do a lot of borrowing. Watch debt, because the eighth house sometimes is not super favorable to finances. It is if you're conservative. But if you overindulge in the energy that's coming in, you probably will really pay for it later. So really be careful of your spending. Try and focus on other areas of your life and not be so wanting or indulgent when it comes to finances. This is really about your intimate world. It's about getting in touch with yourself personally, feeling that you are fulfilling things within yourself that you need to be nurtured with. Sexuality will be at an all-time high. It's deep connection. You may find deeper connection through sex in this energy. Gemini, key partnerships, also, like I said, partners' income, inheritances, taxes. You may get a large tax refund, or you may find yourself owing taxes. It's that kind of an energy. Definitely a metamorphosis. The eighth house is a deep house. It's a house usually of some kind of transformation in your life. So Gemini, this is probably going to be a very interesting year for you. Probably a year where you maybe have a partnership that's very physically attractive, and you end up learning about yourself through it. So the only advice I have for you really to be cautionary about is the money situation. Definitely don't take on too much debt and watch your spending. Other than that, I think you're going to have a great year. Cancer, this is happening in your seventh house of relationship. Now, we all know Cancers and relationships, they go from being needy to going in their shell and ignoring, right? This is the way Cancers usually handle intimacy. So this is going to impact your relationships, the growth and expansion in those relationships. And I think that what Jupiter and Saturn is going to do is is try to teach you a healthier way to love, a healthier way to be in partnership, because Cancers they're very sensitive, and sometimes you get hurt very easily. So you need to be able to be vulnerable and put yourself out there without having that suffering. And I think that that's what Jupiter in Capricorn is trying to show you: how to love, but also have a healthy detachment in that love, not a spiteful detachment, let's say. So in this energy, when you have a transit like this going through your 7th house, also be aware, Cancer, that relationships can end. And just know that if that does happen and a relationship ends, don't stay in the suffering of that. Go forward, because it's ending to bring in something much better. And I know that is absolutely true, because almost every time one of my clients has a deep transit in the 7th house, if a relationship does end, by the end of the year or the next year, they have a much better relationship. So the universe is just taking something away to give you something better. If you remember in the beginning of the video, we talked about how Jupiter in Capricorn is about letting go of something in order to truly be grateful or appreciate it. And that also is true when it takes something away to make room for something even better. It wants to put you in that gratitude. So just know that. Be willing to compromise and look at both sides, and try not to go in your shell so much, because the learning is not done in the shell. You may also meet someone through work. In the 7th house, oftentimes you'll see people have a romance at work or fall in love with someone at work. This is definitely partnerships at work, or a business partnership that turns romantic, something like that. But don't be surprised if that partner really wants freedom. This is not really a year where you're going to have commitment. So just know that you may have a great time dating, but not really a great time committing. All right. And that's about it for Cancer. Leo, 6th house. This is your house of everyday routines, health, and work. Work as in daily work, not work as in career vocation. So this is about health, very much so. I feel like you Leos out there really need to take care of your health. I would say that in this energy, it's a great time to join a gym, get healthy, do the diet, because if you have had health problems that you've been ignoring, Jupiter will expand them sometimes to get your attention. So you want to be really healthy. So take care of anything that you've been neglecting. This could also be a new job, a daily basis, or a new daily routine. Something that you change up, or your job changes. You may stay in the same field but a different place. This is making you become more honest and actually more diligent about taking care of your health. It may expand a health issue so that you do that. That's kind of the way sometimes Jupiter in Cap works. It expands something so we pay attention to it. You may end up working in a health-related field, because this is work and health together. So Leos, definitely take extra care of your health. If there's anything that's been bothering you, go have it checked out, because you don't want it to expand. And stay open to the opportunity of the daily routine, and watch for signs and things that happen that could lead you on a path to actually make your daily life more joyful, more abundant, because sometimes that's the way Jupiter will work when it's transiting the 6th. Virgo, this is your 5th house. So Virgos out there, and this goes for the boys too, men and women. When Jupiter is transiting your 5th house, you're extremely fertile. This is where people get pregnant and think, oh my gosh, I didn't even know I was going to get pregnant. Like, this is accidental pregnancies. It's also a great time if you're looking to adopt a child or do a child by surrogate or any of those things. This will definitely happen in this type of transit for a Virgo. This is also about fun and children. The 5th house is the house of lightheartedness, joy in that regard. Communication with children may be really amplified in this energy when Jupiter in Cap is transiting your 5th. This is for Virgo. It also sometimes will be a long time problem with communication suddenly clears up, and you suddenly see a different way to communicate with someone. But it's definitely fun and romance. It's good fortune where kids are concerned. So if there's been anything challenging with your children or grandchildren, this is an energy usually where things will work itself out and strife will end. It's also an energy of fertile in the sense of creativity. if you're an artist, if you draw, if you paint, if you sketch, if you sculpt, if you have music. When Jupiter is transiting your 5th house, for those Virgos out there, you'll be extremely creative in this energy. I'll just expand that. Libra, 4th house. I know we have a lot of Libras out there. It's like the Libra club, right? So Libra's in the 4th house. This is a family, home. But when we talk about the 4th house, we're not just talking about home as far as your physical house, although it is that. It's also your home within and finding home within yourself. You know, I always say, there's that saying about, you know, it's easy to be Zen on top of the mountain, but we're supposed to bring our Zen wherever we go. And so that's the home. And so when Jupiter's transiting the 4th house for Libras, it could be a resolution of a lot of family issues that have been ongoing for years suddenly become resolved. It could also be, if you've been ignoring family problems, they'll come to the surface so they can be resolved. This is about putting down roots. It's about foundations. It's about, if you feel like your work is your home, it may be strengthening that area of your life. If you have a home business or you work from home, it'll strengthen that and shine the light on those things and bring you blessings. It's about real estate. Anything that's connected to the home or the home base is highlighted in this energy for you, Virgo. By the end of the year, I would say you may start a home business, you know, something like that. But just know this is home and family. If there's been an ongoing issue with family that's been very frustrating for you for years, it'll probably come rising to the surface and then be resolved for good in this energy. Scorpios, my lovely Scorpions. Allison says, Leo risings too. I've been in my self-care game strong. That's good. That's really good, Allison, in this energy. Regina says, I love my shell. Yes, you're probably a Cancer. Cancers love their shell, but Cancer's lesson in the world is not always to go in the shell, you know? So see that, Chris? You didn't need to be nervous as a Libra. Everything's going to be fine on the home front. You may move. You may renovate your home, something like that, start a home-based business, but I think you're going to be fine. So Scorpio, 3rd house. This is increased communication. And if anyone knows a Scorpio, Scorpios are highly romantic and very passionate, but not really big talkers, right? So this is going to be the opposite. This is going to be a communicative time for you. You're going to be more verbal. It's also a time for transportation, vehicles. If you are thinking of doing something with a new car or driving or taking a road trip cross country, something like that, Scorpions, this is the energy to do it in. This is a very busy and exciting time for you. Cautionary, I would say, don't overload your plate, because this is an energy where you can do that. There's going to be a lot of activity, social, a lot of things happening, because this is in your 3rd house of communication. The 3rd house also can be siblings. So if there's anything that's unresolved with siblings, it may come to a head so that you can resolve it. Or you may just find yourself having an amazing, abundant, and joyful year with siblings. You could be a sibling getting married or having a baby or something like that. Scorpions, this is also a year where you find your voice. And as I said, Scorpions are not known to be the most talkative people in the world. Usually Scorpios will come in a room and say something that kind of either drops the bomb or everyone turns around and goes, yeah, he's right. You know, they're very succinct in their language. But this is the year you find your voice. So try not to stifle yourself, and definitely don't overload yourself. So this is going to be a great year for you Scorpios on the communication front. Sagittarians, this is happening in your 2nd house. Saggies, it's good for you. I just went through heavy 2nd house transits, and what it teaches us is really what we value. It teaches us, in the end, it makes us calmer. In the beginning, it makes us nervous, and in the end, it makes us calmer. 2nd house is all the things we value. It's money. It's the way you make your money. It's the way you earn your money. For Sagittarians, this could be the year where you have a career change. It could be the year where you quit the day job and go into the thing that you really love to do. This is, don't overspend and don't abuse money. If there's an area in your life where you've been careless with possessions, with people that are dear to you, you know, Sagittarians can be very blunt sometimes and quick with the tongue. This is the year that you're going to be really, things will happen to make you really grateful for those things and not ever take them for granted again. Sagittarians, this is also a year where Jupiter will expand your truth. So if you're not living authentic to your life, it is probably going to expand that and bring you to the truth that you are supposed to live. So I would say for Saggies, you're in for a little bit of a roller coaster ride, but it's a beautiful ride, because in the end, you're going to end up more confident and more loving, and loving your life more than you ever have before. Capricorns, this is happening in your sign, and that is wonderful because this happens for you every 12 years. And when Jupiter in Capricorn is in the sign of Capricorn, and that's your sun sign, it means that benevolence is actually shining upon you, and that the universe wants to reward you for all the hard work you've been doing in the past 12 years. Now, there's a lot of transits going on with Capricorn, so I really have to look at an individual chart to really know where it's affecting. But this is the year to actualize your dreams. If there's something that you have been putting off for the last 12 years, do it now. You've been dreaming about something, you want to do it. But this is a time to buckle down and be responsible. And usually Capricorns are that way anyway, but this year is to work a little bit harder to get that reward. It is coming to you. So open to your experiences. This is about your inner work and rewards. You may end this year completely different than the way that you begin it, and just know that. Aquarius, this is your 12th house. So Aquarians out there, somebody had said before they were an Aquarian, Marianne, this is a very spiritual time that actually makes sense for you, because I think you're doing a lot of soul work, and we can talk privately about that a little bit. But this is about your spiritual world, compassion, inner strength. Any Aquarius out there, when Capricorn is going in your 12th house, it's testing your inner strength, but you're going to come through this stronger than you ever thought possible. This is about living to your full potential and fulfilling dreams. It's also about doing volunteer work, putting yourself in service to the world. And a lot of times when we're in suffering or depression or just feeling pretty crappy about our life, when we go to help another person, someone who is going through suffering, it really alleviates our own grief and suffering. And Aquarians are going to be shown that this year. It's really the spiritual world within us that is being affected by this transit for Aquarians. So just know that, and know that the universe is trying to show you how benevolent and beautiful it is. Sometimes it does that through tragedy, but in the end, we realize everything we should be grateful for. And then Pisces, this is happening in your 11th house. The 11th house is groups, associations with others. It's being confident about your future. It's optimism. It's the projects that you want to do in person groups. Like, it's not internet. It's not online. This is like getting out there and being part of a group and socializing. This is your group relationships, associations, clubs, organizations, friendships, things like that. So Pisces, you're going to have a really enlightened year with those things, and you're probably going to find some kind of reward or ambitious project through working with groups. And it's going to be very optimistic, and it's also going to be very rewarding for you. This is also something that's laying the groundwork for the future with that. So, for instance, if you join a group and do a project, it's probably going to end up being an annual thing or an ongoing group that you become very close to. So those are through the 12 signs. And I'm just going to look at my notes really quick. Does anybody have any questions for me about Jupiter going through Capricorn? I know I read all those very quickly, but as you guys know, I talk fast anyway. And it's been a long day for me today. So in short, Jupiter in Capricorn is an energy where Saturn is very heavy in this energy. Capricorn is ruled by Saturn. So we have to take that into consideration when Jupiter's in its sign. Saturn is also in Capricorn right now in our world. We're going to have about 5 or 6 planets in Capricorn at one time in the next 30 days. And so that's a lot of heavy earthbound energy. It makes for a very traditional holiday season. The energy might feel a little bit heavy to some people because there is so much earth energy coming through. But what this really is about in a nutshell is working towards the future and realizing that we have to integrate the new and the old. Saturn is all these traditions, all the tried and true, you know, like for instance, let's use the banking system as an example, right? Just because everyone can relate to money and banking. there's a tried and true way that we do banking in this country, right? I remember when I was a little girl, my mom would take us to the bank and she'd cash a paycheck or whatever, or my dad's paycheck, or she'd put money in, and or my parents always were big savings bond buyers. They'd buy US savings bonds, right? When's the last time anybody bought a bond? So they took a piece of paper to the bank and they got paper back and they lived their life on that paper. Well, we don't do that anymore, or a few of us do, right? Now everything's online. Currency is not tangible anymore. It's put into a machine and put out from a machine, and we have a very impersonal way of dealing with trades and goods, correct? So we've seen a new world order in banking already come. And now I think what's going to happen is those traditions, right? Cashing a check was a tradition. You've seen them fade away. And in this energy, those things are going to come to a height and be amplified to set the new world stage. A year or so ago, or maybe 2 years now, Bitcoin was very popular, and you saw the use of electronica in valuable merchandising, and in taking electronics and giving it a value for money. That was just part of what's going to come down. So I wouldn't be surprised if in this energy, right, Jupiter likes to expand things. And Saturn wants the tradition. It wants to limit it. It wants us to be in our traditional frame of reference. I wouldn't be surprised that with an energy like that coming in, the banking industry actually starts forming a very unified system of value, a very unified system of currency. It's not just the American dollar or the yang or the euro. Now it becomes a unified society, a unified world of exchange. So that's the kind of things that happen in Jupiter and Capricorn. And when Saturn in Capricorn comes to hit Jupiter, and Pluto's in there, and a whole bunch of other stuff, which we'll do a lot of videos about in the future. But in our personal lives, what it means is the place where you're used to doing things a certain way, the place where you've told yourself and conditioned yourself, it has to be like this. I have to be married to this person. I have to do this job. It's my career. I can't have a dog, anything. I have to drive a Toyota, like whatever it is, where you have told yourself time and time again that you have this limitation that is a conditioning. Jupiter is coming into that box, and Jupiter is trying to tell you, that is not a tradition that is permanent. Everything in this world is impermanent, and you need to integrate that. And that's the lesson of Jupiter and Saturn. So Jupiter and Saturn might take away that belief, and it may leave you feeling a little ungrounded for a while. But in the end, it gives you a new belief, which is much more expansive than the limiting belief you had before. For instance, suppose you've told yourself that you can't sing, that you could never sing in front of an audience, that you're not good enough for that. You don't deserve to be on stage. Who do you think you are? Those kind of things. Well, Jupiter is going to come in that box, and you're going to find yourself singing in front of the mirror. And then an opportunity is going to come in where people are going to ask you to go perform in public, and maybe you'll not do it. And then another opportunity will come, and Jupiter is going to keep pushing your comfort zone until the next thing you know, you find yourself on stage. And all those fears that you told yourself about the thing that you couldn't do are completely dissolved in the past, because now you've integrated a new way of thinking with your tradition. And your tradition was about music to begin with, and now it's in a different form. That's Jupiter and in Capricorn. That's Jupiter when it meets Saturn. It tears down what was to give us something better. So don't be afraid of that. Live in the abundance of that. What the highest octave of Jupiter is it wants to tell us that the universe is a benevolent and abundant place and has our back. But Capricorn wants us to trust that no matter what happens. Because Capricorn is that goat climbing, no matter what, they're getting to the top, right? They don't look down, they don't look back, they just keep climbing to the top. And that's what we have to do in this energy. So use it to your highest octave. Use this beautiful energy to bring your life forward in some way. Your soul will lead you. It already knows the way. You don't have to question so much. You just have to flow and surrender and allow it to happen, and let the beautiful planet, the benevolent expansion of Jupiter find you. Just stop resisting it, and it will. So don't let Capricorn put those limits on you and resist things. Remember, this basically happens every 12 years. Think back to 2008. What was going on the last time Jupiter was in this place in the sky for you? and go back there and think about the thing that you left unfinished, because the universe is asking you to finish it now. So you can find me here. You can find me on Zenkuda Official on Instagram. You can find me on just read this. Allison has 6 Capricorn placements in your natal chart. Bring it. You're ready for it anyway. You're a master now, Allie. You can do it. You have such great philosophy and such great wisdom that you'll be fine. And you can always call me. I'll give you a pep talk. Although you have to give me one too. So you can find me on Zenkuda Official on Instagram, Zenkuda here on Facebook, and please subscribe to my YouTube channel where you'll find more videos. This video will be posted there, so you can share it. And please watch me on Thursday evening at 6:30 on Govs Radio, govsradio.com, or right here on Zenkuda. We'll put the live feed. I really want to create a beautiful community that is Zenkuda. Thursday night, we're going to be talking more about the stars. And who knows, maybe I'll pull some cards for you. Thank you all for tuning in. This is the energy I source my life from. So thank you so much, and I hope you all are all living the Zenkuda lifestyle and letting your soul lead you to greatness. Thanks so much, Chris. I love you, Allie, and everybody out there. It's too many to count right now, but I love you all, and I look forward to talking to you on Thursday. Good night.